Blasphemous is a 2D side-scrolling hack-and-slash adventure developed by Spanish indies The Game Kitchen and published by, of all people, Team 17. It's a bit of a departure in games usually attached to Team 17, more famously known for the Worms and Alien Breed series, and that one Leisure Suit Larry game that nobody talks about. Set in the land of Custodia, which has been reduced to a barren hellscape by an event known only as the Miracle, this has started an age of corruption and transformed the inhabitants into twisted monsters or doomed souls, depending on the vicious interpretations of their worship. Your character, known only as the Penitent One, awakes amongst a pile of dead bodies in an attempt to cleanse this malaise from the land, armed with your sword, the mea culpa, created from the guilt of a woman begging for punishment and rewarded with having a sword rammed through her chest. Yeah, that was her at the start there. You'll platform and battle your way through a number of lands, each more twisted than the last, fighting bosses, dodging traps, and collecting items. Oh, and dying. You'll die a lot in this fucking game. Almost certainly the first thing that will strike you about this game is the artwork. It's absolutely fucking beautiful. Equal parts dark, seething and gothic. It's really an incredible achievement to get a game this good looking through pixel art, especially when you consider some of the visual abominations that have been put out by studios with full art departments. Borrowing heavily from religious art in their native Sevilla in Spain, Game Kitchen have crafted a truly startling art palette. Every character, background and boss is rich in detail and superbly animated. They move with a nice flow and a speed that fits just right without seeming artificial. Many of the sprites will be unlike anything you've ever seen before, which is an incredible feat. Another great detail is the music, crafted just as expertly as the artwork by Carlos Viola. It's light, subtle and really eerie. It perfectly complements the religious overtones of the art style without ever straying over the line and intruding upon the game. It's a proper case study in what background music should be aiming for. Never intrusive or overbearing, but always noticeable and enriching the experience. A big shout out must go towards the sound design and voice acting, which are both equally fantastic. The sound effects and the creature sounds are all spot on, really emphasising their characteristics. A special mention to the Scion of Abjuration boss fight, which is sure to give anybody listening to you play this game the absolute heebie-jeebies. Right, so exceptional artwork, brilliant music, spot on sound. We're onto a fucking winner here, aren't we, lads? No, not really. See, one of the main things I was writing of playing this game was a line from a Stephen King movie, Storm of the Century, and it was about hell.
Because that's what hell is all about, Robbie. Repetition.
And that's what this game is. Repetition. Let's start with the difficulty, since this pretty much overpowers everything else in the game. Everything in this game is geared towards making everything as difficult as possible to get through, and it suffers hugely because of it. The game wears its Dark Souls influences on its sleeve. The respawning enemies every time a save point is used, even the save animation is pretty much the same. The guild system is a carbon copy of the Souls mechanic of making you backtrack to a death point to retrieve your stuff. In Blasphemous, the difficulty is cranked all the way up. The levels are littered with spike pits and death chasms. The enemies all strip huge chunks of health off you regardless of the amount of upgrades you've got. Many of the bosses have some obscene attack patterns, and the save points are few and far between, so you'll be repeating vast chunks of this game.
Because that's what hell is all about, Robbie. Repetition.
Now the combat. This suffers hugely from the pursuit of difficulty. The enemies all have uninterruptible combo attacks, those who have attacks that can't be parried, which is most of them, and almost every single one of your attacks can be stopped by an enemy simply just turning around and walking into you. The hitbox detection is as loose as your mum after 2 bottles of white wine, and almost every enemy is faster than you with a longer reach, basically rendering a lot of the combo attacks useless, as you'll just end up spamming the dodge attack over and over again.
Because that's what hell is all about, Robbie. Repetition.
Actually, now that I've mentioned the attacks, they can all be covered with 2 words. Fucking useless. Every attack add-on essentially is just another method of leaving you open to a counter-attack. The combo finishers are useless, as anything that can get to the end of a combo without dying will just hit you, breaking the combo. The dive bomb attack won't kill anything until it's fully upgraded, so for most of the game, it's just a very energetic way of presenting yourself to the enemy. The dodge attacks upgrades just make it wider, they don't make it any stronger, and the ranged attack can't be aimed, needs ammo and has a paltry range, and I really struggle to see the logic of a charge attack in a game where everything is faster than you, has a longer range than you, and can interrupt it simply by just walking into you. A special mention has to go to the secondary attacks, or in this game prayers. They use up the mana or fervor bar and are almost all totally useless. Most need 3 or more hits to kill anything stronger than the base enemies, and are beyond futile in the boss fights. Only wound up ever using 2 of them for the entire game. One that makes you temporarily invincible, and another that makes you really fast. Oh, and true to this game, using a prayer leaves you wide open to an attack. Actually, fucking everything leaves you wide open in this game. Attacking an enemy, defending from an enemy, using a health vial, using a prayer, grappling up a ledge, jumping, even using the dodge leaves you wide open, as you actually stand up in the middle of it, despite it being a crouch level move. This means the combat boils down to seeing whatever enemy is in front of you and repeating a rote method of attacking it over and over again.
Because that's what hell is all about, Robbie. Repetition.
The game employs a number of upgrade systems, the premise being that you can tailor certain aspects of the gameplay to suit, but none of them have any effect. There are rosary beads, relics, and sword cores. Rosary beads have minor effects that aren't noticeable even in the slightest, even though you can equip up to 9 of the fucking things. The relics are only useful to those who are trying to 100% the game. It is very possible to strike through the whole game without using a single one of them, and the sword cores all come with massive downsides to offset their minuscule positives. So, all the upgrades and extras to the combat are as useful as a one-legged man in an arse-kicking competition, and the combat itself actually handles like one. So now it's down to the other core mechanic, the platforming, to save the day, right? Well, fucking wrong. Whereas the combat is somewhat enjoyable for the first few times around, there's literally no point at which the platforming is ever enjoyable. Every platforming section, and there are loads, is infested with swinging traps that mince your health bar for even the slightest touch. The level design is atrocious. I've mentioned the spike pits before, and the inclusions of enemies with ridiculous amounts of knockback on their attacks on almost every ledge can only be described as the dick move of dick moves. This wouldn't be too bad if you only had to do these sections once or twice, but the sheer amount of backtracking will drive you to despair at these sections. You'll spend a vast amount of your game time backtracking. The map is useless, it doesn't allow you to write notes or store any information at all. Combine that with the teleport doors being rarer than fucking hen's teeth, and you're in for a serious amount of grinding, my friend. Grinding the same level sections over and over again.
Because that's what hell is all about, Robbie. Repetition.
All this leads to the game having absolutely no sense of flow whatsoever. It can't even rely on the writing, as the game's story is told via descriptions of over 100 items that you collect throughout the game and store in the reliquary at the very beginning. So you have to piece together the rather threadbare lore via these body parts if you want to have any semblance of what the fuck is going on, and also what the fuck the endings mean. There are 2 of them, and I accidentally stumbled onto the true one, purely by accident because I was swinging my sword at everything. In the end, I'd like to recommend this to Souls fans, but I'm not sure it appeals to anybody else, which is quite a shame, because something as truly gorgeous as this, something this good, deserves to be seen and enjoyed by as many people, not just the obscene few who only value a game for the amount of difficulty and backtracking they have. This game is a grind, it's a slog, a beautiful slog now, but it's a series of progressive punishments until you hit a boss, and then the whole rigmarole repeats again and again.
Because that's what hell is all about, Robbie. Repetition.